Hello once again, welcome back, and we'll start off with another transportation example. See, Suntrek doesn't just ship bales of cotton, they have a long and storied journey of going from cotton to denim to jeans to sails. So what we've got to do is now map out the next step in the journey. So we had in the previous video all of the bales of cotton in the port cities, with the amounts that were expressed, and now we're going to take that and ship that overseas to these destinations with these costs. So off camera, really quickly, I set up the respective new costs and the respective new supplies and demands, and that got me some new shipping information and a new shipping cost of kind of a lot of money. Actually, I think we're up to about $3 million now, which is not a small chunk of change. Not for me, anyway. Of course, one thing to recognize, supply, once again, was less than, or greater than or equal to demand. In fact, it was equal to, so you could get away with equations here because these are balanced. But, of course, since we use the module again, Excel QM takes care of that logic for us, so we don't really need to worry about that. So let's get into the heart of the issue, which is going to be, what's the best way to go from start to finish? And I'm not going to do it, but I could work the other two problems in this series and get a 5-phase journey, or four stages from start to finish. But really, just for the purpose of this video, I think we've got enough. What if these ports of Houston, Savannah, New Orleans, and Charleston, what if these ports didn't have a specified demand? What if we could send everything, or as much as we wanted, through cargo ships on any one port? Would that affect our choices? Would we have a more optimal way to move the cotton from the farms to the factories? And to answer that, we will not be able to do a module from Dr. Weiss here. This stuff on Excel QM is just transportation and assignment. Transshipment doesn't play out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our first cost table, we're going to take our second cost table. Oh, historically, by the way, those usually have appeared on this side of stuff. So sorry about that. I'll be more consistent, I guess. And so we are going to need to decide how much stuff to send out. So I need to get this stuff moved down the road. Okay. So really quickly, right, the amount that is received at each location is done with a sum. Oh, I need to do it correctly. Equals sum, and then you can either click your choice and then move your arrow keys to select your options. You can type out what you want and then using up or down highlight your formula of choice and then press the tab key to bring up the rest of everything you need. And of course, once you get that done, you can fill as appropriate. And then over here, this is our shipped column, which is now a sum of these values. Okay. And then we're going to do another few quick sums. Another few quick sums. All right. And our total cost is going to be, well, this times this, plus this, times this, plus this, times this, plus. And we're going to get bored pretty quick, and we're going to make a mistake even sooner. So to do a product of sums, it's called sum product, and I want to multiply each of these, comma, to each of those. And that is my total cost for the first leg. And to that, I will add the sum product of the second leg of the journey. Yeah, that's fixed. Okay. So that is looking pretty good. Because now if I ship something somewhere, I've got what I need. So let's see here. I think I've just about got everything set up appropriately, but remembering I did specify that Houston doesn't have any demand. And that means that Houston technically doesn't have any supply either. So we'll see how that'll complicate things. But really, let me undo that because I think I've got a way for this to work. Because we're going to have three major types of constraints, right? We're going to have our supply constraints, which is the stuff coming out of Arkansas. That's Alaska, actually. Goodness, what have I done? And no one said anything either. Of Arkansas, Mississippi, and Texas, the stuff coming out has to be less than or equal to their supplies. The stuff going into the destinations, that can be greater than or equal to demand. And then lastly, the stuff going into the port cities, that's not going to be greater than or equal to, that's not going to be less than or equal to, that's going to be identically equal to the stuff leaving the port cities. Alright, so that's going to be our general constraints. So supply, demand, and flow, I suppose, is what your author likes to call that. So let's get solver running here. I want to minimize my total cost. And I am going to change these cells and also these cells. Now when you're clicking around, you can usually only highlight one value or one table at a time. But if you hold the control key down, I think that might be command for Macs, you can get two regions highlighted. Alright, so let's get our constraints in here. Oh, and simplex. So I want the amount coming out of each city to be less than or equal to what is available in each city. I want the amount going into every destination to meet or exceed the express demand. And lastly, I want, and I hope this works, the amount going into Houston, etc., to equal the amounts leaving. And we'll see how that goes. And I think we've got us some solutions. It actually works out that if we go start to finish, we don't use any of the Arkansas cotton. Instead, we use just Mississippi and Texas, and we ship through only New Orleans and Houston, and from there we hit all the respective demands, and this actually shaves off $250,000 in costs. So I hope that really cements the fact that, yeah, transshipment problems are worth doing. They are not pretty. In terms of the setup, you do have to be mindful of your constraints. You will have to use some linear programming. You will have to do some manual setups. But it is worth it in a very measurable sense. So thanks so much for your time, and we'll kind of look at some network flow stuff in the next couple videos. See you then.